Hi, friends. Welcome to Working Women, a podcast about career readiness, job hunting best practices, and how to overcome obstacles, particularly as women in the workplace. I'm Neera Berner, Executive Director of Cabell County Medical Society, a community network of doctors serving West Virginia. And my co-host is my personal favorite friend, Heather Kazad, founder of Kazad Events and Communications, who helps nonprofits and small businesses in the Washington, D.C. area reach their audience through events and marketing. Hey, Heather.
Hey, girl.
If you're joining us for the first time, I hope you'll find an opportunity to catch up on episode 1, where we talked about resumes and cover letters as an early career professional, a job hopper, or someone re-entering the workforce after a hiatus. For those joining us for the second time, welcome back. Over the course of this series, we're addressing all of those unspoken rules, the constant data analysis, and never-ending loops and hoops job seekers are expected to just know for some reason in the year of our Lord 2025. For the purposes of this conversation, we're focusing on networking and the specific act of job searching, what job board to look at, what strategy to use, learning how to ask for feedback, all that fun stuff. So let's get into it. Heather, how and where should people apply for jobs?
Well, first you print your resume out and you go door to door downtown, handing it out to the front desk in case they have openings, and maybe you'll get to see the manager.
Hmm, this sounds like the advice my parents gave me. God bless them.
Oh, no, I'm obviously kidding. But you hear that a lot from our parents and things. I have a fairly comprehensive list of job boards that someone curated for me a few weeks back. So thank you, Obi, wherever you are, for your diligence. This has saved me so much time. But while I retrieve that list, I want to open with possibly the most important thing I say in this entire series.
Well, that's a lot of pressure for episode 2.
I know it is, but hear me out. Um, Friends, if you take one thing away from what I say during this whole series, I want it to be this. So, everyone, listen to me, put down the coffee, step off the treadmill, stop whatever it is you're multitasking right now for the next 30 seconds, and listen to my words. Your job does not define your worth. Your lack of a job does not define your worth. You may have been laid off. You may be applying to dozens of positions without much traction. None of that reflects your value as a human or even as a worker. I want you to hear me and I want you to believe me. Truthfully, we are in an awful job market right now with layoffs and automation and downsizing and agencies and nonprofits getting funding pulled. It's insane. You're also competing with highly qualified applicants across the board, and each position can only go to one person. Now, we can coach you on what to do, how to present yourself, what to say, and how to document your value as a worker. We can help you put your best foot forward, but sometimes this stuff is a marathon. In fact, most times it's a marathon, and sometimes it takes longer than you want it to. And when that happens, we as individuals tend to internalize what we're perceiving as failure. I've been there. I suspect Neera has too. Please be kind to yourself during the hard stretches. Take wellness breaks in your job hunting, find joy where you can, and just believe that it will get better.
Very well said, Heather. When life gets you down, try not to get sour. Make some lemonade. Shout out Beyonce. Focus on the things that you have done. The worst thing you can do is get caught up in the title or life of your job. Remember the cool things that you do outside of it. Remember you're a person outside of it. And we are rooting for you as a person. Okay, that's all.
Given the purpose of this podcast and the topics that we're covering, I felt like it would be a disservice to assume everything is fine when I know that it isn't. People are struggling. Maybe some of you listening are struggling. Part of the point of us being here is to provide tips and stories and such, but the other part is to be your cheerleaders, to encourage you and to remind you that you aren't alone, whatever your particular obstacles may be.
Absolutely.
And with that, I've retrieved my list. So here we go. General job boards include LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and Glassdoor. If you're in the business, marketing, and finance space, you could try HBR Ascend, Marketing Hire, or eFinance Careers. For tech and engineering, we have built-in, Stack Overflow Jobs, GitHub Jobs, and Wellfound. Next is the design and creative world with Dribble Jobs, Behance Job Board, Working Not Working, and Coroflot. I think I'm saying that right. It's Coroflot. I apologize to whoever made that job board. And then there's my stomping ground, education and nonprofit work. I actually do know these ones. We have Idealist, Higher Ed Jobs, EdSurge, and Chronicle of Higher Education.
I would like to make a note. Right there, these job boards are terrible. Remember to look them up. They sound like made up words. I know that. I guess they know that. One of them is you can just say the weirdest words like Kaggle, for data analysts or for people who are making things. You can get noticed on Kaggle as well. Not like that, and that's just what it's called, Kaggle. So,
Sure.
um, now we're going to get into actual real words that we kind of know, right? Yeah. For
Yes.
government and public policy professionals, here we go. USA Jobs, Go Government, Traverse Jobs, and UN Jobs. In the healthcare space, we have Health E Careers, Biospace, and Public Health Jobs. And finally, for skilled trades and remote or freelance work, try Snag a Job, Jobcase, apprenticeship.gov, We Work Remotely, FlexJobs, Upwork, and Remote OK.
So yeah, it's quite the list, and I can't speak to the quality of all of them, obviously. That said, find what works for you. There is usually a lot of cross posting, and you can also find area specific boards like DC Jobs in my case, or Generation West Virginia for probably some of you and Neera. Try two or three that suit your needs and check back regularly or set up alerts for specific keywords. My personal favorite is Idealist, which I mentioned a second ago. There aren't a lot of posts, but they're all mission driven opportunities.
This feels like a good time to go to our question from the audience. Jessica asks, how can someone tell when a job post is a ghost listing so they can avoid it?
I'm going to be honest here. I misunderstood this question the first time I read it. So I'll just tackle both points to cover my bases. I first thought Jessica meant scammers, which do exist on job boards, mostly Indeed, from what I can tell. I also heard that LinkedIn has a few of them at this point, too, unfortunately. These are posts that draw applicants for the purposes of stealing your info and or tricking you into giving them banking details. If it sounds too good, it probably is. If it's too easy, it's probably fake. Double check any listing from a job board with the company's website. Check to make sure the company is legitimate. They have staff, they have programs or products, their website looks real, they have some level of social media presence, etc. All of those things. What I learned Jessica actually meant was those instances where real companies list arguably real positions, but they never have any intention of filling them. Sometimes organizations want to appear successful and growing. Sometimes they get funding for actively seeking new talent. Regardless of the reason, applicants submit their materials and never hear anything again. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much you can do about those. Apply cautiously, research the company, If you see the same job posting appear, get removed, and reappear, that's probably what's happening. Better still, watch for recruiter activity. When recruiters curate open positions and post for their followers, chances are they're legitimate. I can't see too many companies sinking money into recruitment if the job is a black hole. And even if the job is real, there's always the chance they have an internal hire in mind. As I said, we're in a rough job market. Until the tide shifts, job seekers will have to stay vigilant. Find what works for you, ask peers what methodology works for them. Neera, do you have any suggestions?
This is such a good question. Did you know that 81% of recruiters admit to posting ghost jobs that they have no intention to fill?
No. Well, strike what I just said then.
According to a survey by My Perfect Resume, that was how they answered at least.
Mm,
If you search Google for Forbes, ghost jobs, multiple articles come up. Even Forbes is taking note. In the technology realm, the reason there are a lot of ghost postings is yes, to fake stakeholders into believing there is job growth and money circulating to the economy. Alphabet companies, Google, YouTube are notorious for this. They're actually in some hot water right now, according to my The Information newsletter. Shout out to you, Jessica Lesson. By the way, did you know these job search companies can also sell your data?
hmm.
There is money to be made in your information, as we all know. You'll notice your spam calls and texts will go through the roof whenever you start using some of these websites that are designed to help you get a job. For this reason, I would recommend always going to the company site that you want to work for and look at their job postings. If you're trying to be an analyst, for instance, go to the company you want and search on their website. You'll be in their database for job postings later, and they might reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. When you do find listings you want to pursue, apply directly to the company's website if you can. However, some companies don't list them on their websites and house everything on a separate platform. In those cases, just follow the instructions the job board post has. Um, Easy apply isn't your friend because it gets spammed so much. You also don't necessarily know how often a staffer is checking their LinkedIn account. Speaking of easy apply, when you're actively looking, it's probably time to shake off the dust from your LinkedIn profile if you haven't been using it that much already. LinkedIn is something of a necessary evil. The feed can be obnoxious and out of touch, but you can also build your network and find new opportunities and follow relevant companies or recruiter accounts. Search for your industry and see who posts job roundups each week. Check out some of those listings. If they match roughly what you're looking for, follow that person and keep an eye on their posts and let them do some of the research for you. You might also consider following not only some of your target companies, but the hiring managers at those companies as well. You can get a peek into what they're looking for potential new hires.
Whew, job hunting can be a full-time job if you let it, but you will burn out quickly. I legit did that a couple years ago and then went into a deep depression.
Hmm.
However, I used that deep depression to work on myself and go back to school. So who is laughing now? Ha 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 ha. Ha. And I meant to be silly there. Um, anyway, instead, make technology work for you. Set up job alerts for specific companies, specific industries, or specific job titles. If you use LinkedIn, you can actually set those alerts easily. I've applied at Ford Motor Company, yeah, Ford, using their website and get emails when they have a new position they're hiring for. And that's also the same for Microsoft. Once you're in the database, you can get alerts straight from the company before they even do postings on the other platforms. So that is my hot tip.
And one more thing I'd like to mention is the very real statistical evidence that women, much more than men, are overly cautious when applying for jobs. And what I mean by that is women typically only apply for positions where they meet more than like 80% of the qualifications. Men, however, will apply for almost anything as long as they reach something like 30 or 40% of the requirements.
Hey.
Listen, the qualifications and requirements on a job description are a wish list. If you meet every bit of criteria, there's hardly any room for you to grow. You're already overqualified. Of course, there are circumstances where you want a sure thing. You might not have the luxury of time or money to be selective. I get that. But don't sell yourself short either. Don't be afraid to move up the ladder. Take a chance with some of those opportunities that you know you could learn as you go. I get a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling every time I see a job listing that specifically indicates that women and other marginalized groups tend to underapply, and that if you're excited by this role and meet some or most of the qualifications, they want you to make the attempt. You may not get the job and you may not always get the interview, but you deserve to be in the room with everyone else. So, ladies, please be a little more confident. And fellas, sorry, but maybe be a little less confident. I mean, that sounds mean, but make sure you have the basics down before you offer up that resume.
I love that. And Heather is the absolute guru of crafting resumes. I remember talking to you and asking if I could put Glenn Leslie's book on my resume from where I did the editing for Convictions. Shout out to Dr. Leslie. You said, yes, you are an editor for a published book that goes on your resume. And I'm still like laughing about it. I had just forgotten. Um, Remember that when you're searching for jobs, to look outside of your life and to look outside of your own box a little bit, meaning some things that are not impressive to you or me, to yourself, whoever, they can impress other people. Um, we are our harshest critics sometimes. And this is a really big thing that I think is so important is remember that no is the worst thing that you can hear back when you are pitching yourself. And no isn't even that bad because think of it this way, no doesn't mean no forever. It just means no, not right now. I have literally been told no by media managers of Xbox, and then 6 months later, they were in my direct messages saying yes. I just took it as a challenge. I may not have been a perfect fit then, but after I analyzed some more things, I would be. And it was a way to gain XP points, a little Xbox reference for you. So let that be a word of encouragement. No is not forever, it's not eternal, it's just not right now. Keep working and keep grinding. Somebody's going to notice. You've got this.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's plenty more we can cover about the application process, but so much of that is personal preference. Designate a certain time of day or a certain day of the week as job hunting time. Ask friends and colleagues what works for them. And to that end, let's move on to the second part of today's conversation, networking. Neera, I know you've been waiting for this part.
I'm so excited and I have my notes ready. I literally learn something every time we talk, so I'm lucky to be your friend.
Oh, that's so nice. So, nothing happens in a vacuum. And contrary to popular billionaire rhetoric, no one makes it to the top alone. First, we are part of a society. Our job is to build community and serve each other based on our individual talents. People forget that part, and it really bugs me. And second, we are stronger together. We can tackle difficult things together. We start by forming those connections and community that will help us achieve our goals. So the act of networking, like going to networking events with the name tags and answering the question, what do you do 20 times, is, well, not especially fun for most people, particularly introverts. But the trick is to find what works for you and your personality. Recent grads might cling to alumni groups, which exist precisely for the purpose of making connections and helping fellow alumni break into their desired industry. Your town might have active Chamber of Commerce events to attend, or you might find like minded networking groups based on location, age, politics, or industry. I mentioned before that a lot of the content for this podcast was inspired by my work with the Young Nonprofit Professionals Network in DC. This is a membership group that hosts events and offers professional development services to people in the nonprofit sector or people looking to enter it. And while it's important to find peers, it can be even more helpful to find people you look up to. Those professionals who may be a few steps ahead of you and you wonder how they did it. Another group I'm a part of, for example, is the National Association of Women Business Owners. And our DC chapter is super fun and active with the liveliest bunch of entrepreneurs you've ever seen. These women are titans of industry, and they have so much to offer people like me who are new to the game. We commiserate, we share resources, we offer leads. They're a group of people who understand the challenges of starting a small business because they're doing it too. Neera, you seemingly know everyone from all walks of life. A lot of your contacts are across the country and international. Tell us how you met some of the people in your network and what those relationships have meant to you.
This actually made me laugh. I think seemingly knowing everyone from all walks of life should be a compliment at this point. Um,
It
thank you
is.
for thank you for that. Thank you. Um, Truthfully, some of it was dumb luck, and some of it was pure data analyzing before I became a data analyst, professionally certified. I love how you said nothing happens in a vacuum, and that's what I did. I got out of my vacuum. I love vacuum cleaners, but that is not a good place to live. Little
Oh,
joke there. Thank you. Thank you for that because I think that's a funny joke. Um, my life took off whenever I went on Twitter and finally stopped using the same Facebook algorithm. I wouldn't recommend Twitter right now because obviously it's a cesspool of hatred and, to me, unprofessionalism. I'm not even there anymore. But go to another platform and make some buddies. Again, I'm going to echo you, LinkedIn. My father and mother taught me something important early on in life, and that is, yeah, I'll keep the clearing throat in there too. Make friends with everyone, smile at everyone. You never know when you can make their day, or you'll be in the position they are and need someone to smile back at you. In high school at Cabell Midland, Mrs. Carrico taught me one of the biggest lessons in journalism, and I still carry that to this day. And that is everybody has a story. That's wonderful. A story is something that you can relate to. That means you can relate to everyone if you find the right story. Take that and apply it to the internet. A like on Facebook means they made you smile. A comment is saying hello. Now, wouldn't you want to be friends with someone who is friendly? Uh, every job site I go on, whether it's online or to a shoot, I make sure you want to work with me again because no job is certain, especially nowadays. There isn't anything cool about being a brilliant person with no social skills who can't have a conversation. They'll hire a computer if they want that, and Lord knows they can.
mhm.
So you better walk and talk like you're always being watched for a future job. There's a quote my pastor shared, and I loved it. I'm going to quote it. Thank you, Pastor Nancy, for the reminder. I will take that. I don't know what I'm going to do with that clearing the throat. I'm sorry, everyone. Each of us, famous or infamous, is a role model for somebody. And if we aren't, we should behave as though we are. Cheerful, kind, loving, courteous, because you can be sure someone is watching and taking deliberate and diligent notes. That's Maya Angelou. Your friends and colleagues who have known you for years can still be watching you depending on what socials you have. So, with the power of the internet, you are being seen. So, you need to be mindful of what you're doing.
See, none of us get where we're going alone. And I love that part about being a role model. It's so true. People are watching us. Kids are watching us, even when we don't know it. It's great to engage with people at the same stage of life as you. But as I hinted with my explanation of NABO, it can even be better to follow the path of someone who's already scaled the wall in front of you. That's where mentors come in, which is sort of a tangent to this broader networking conversation. But stay with me. Neera got me there with the whole role model part. And mentoring has been such a big focus of my work this year. So it's on the brain already. Students and young professionals who report having a mentor tend to succeed more than their counterparts in their careers and also in personal development. And the basis for this podcast is that so many people either don't have seasoned leaders in their network to help guide them, or younger workers don't know how to approach those leaders with a clear ask. Neera and I are here to share those conversations and supplement whatever direction and encouragement you may be lacking. But a mentor in your life focused on your successes and your goals provides such an advantage to your growth. This is a person who knows you, who pushes you, and who holds you accountable. While most people agree that mentoring has benefits for all parties, a university study Forbes cited in 2019 claims only 37% of people have a mentor. And 61% of those who do have a mentor say their relationship developed naturally without being assigned. This makes sense to me because you have to find the right person or a few different people who mesh with you and relate to your goals.
And that is so correct. You have to be able to relate to those people that on a personal level that you are going to look up to professionally. Some other quick stats include 87% of mentors and mentees feel empowered by their mentoring relationships and have developed greater confidence. That's from Women Ahead. 84% reported that mentoring relationships provide two-way inspiration for mentor and mentee, from Women Ahead. 25% of employees in a test group who took part in a mentoring program had a salary grade change, compared with 5% of employees in a control group who did not participate. That's from Wharton.
So if you're in a position to shadow someone you admire, cultivate that relationship. Keep in contact. Update them on your progress. Be invested in their life as well, because a mentor mentee relationship serves both people. If you're further along in your career, take someone under your wing. Make an effort to help a promising student, employee, or professional contact thrive. Many moons ago, I managed a character development magazine that my organization shared with our members every quarter. And one of the first issues was about mentoring. Dr. Brad Johnson is a professor of psychology at the Naval Academy, and one of his areas of expertise is mentoring. It was a pretty big focus for him at the time, so I interviewed him for this magazine. And also, as an aside, his more recent scholarship is about how to be an ally to women as a man in the workplace, specifically like a straight white male in male fields. So it's really cool. You should check it out. He's on LinkedIn. I interviewed him about mentoring, and he summed up the stats that Neera just shared in a very concrete way. Well-mentored people make more money, they get more promotions, they're better networked into their organization and profession. People try to hire them away and offer them jobs. But interestingly, people tend to not leave organizations at which they're mentored. So retention is high among people who are mentored in your company. People who are well mentored are happier. There's something about being well mentored that makes it easier to integrate work and life. Dr. Johnson also shared with me what productive and successful mentoring should look like. His book on the topic lists 75 practices, but I made him choose just a few of his favorites. So these are the actions he most values, and I've sort of paraphrased their meaning just for clarity. Number one, affirmation. You combat your mentee's imposter syndrome. Number two, generous listening. You truly listen for understanding without distraction. Number three, challenge. You push your mentee into growth opportunities. And number four, sponsorship. You advocate for them and be their biggest cheerleader. I love that list because I think it sums up what we should do for everyone in our network. We should support them, we should push them, and we should sing their praises even when they aren't in the room.
This was a lovely time to be launching this podcast. I'll tell you that. Because I'm in interpersonal relationships. It's my psychology class with the WV Rocks program. And I'm reading hard psychological data about how important it is to be able to get along with your colleagues. If you cannot relate or do not try to relate to the people in your industry, how do you think you're going to get that next job? It's self-harming to keep to yourself. I know it seems like it's the easier solution because, yes, people can muck things up and all that jazz. But when you shut yourself off from people, it cuts you off from so many opportunities and ways to grow that people can teach you, like finding someone who believes in you.
Fair or not, well liked workers get more promotions than people who are only good workers. It's also vital for people to learn emotional regulation and conflict resolution. Mentors can help on that front as well. As the data suggests, most of us don't get that lifelong mentor figure, but I'm sure we each have people we admire through different phases of our life. Maybe a professor or an early supervisor, maybe a faith leader or someone active in your community. Those relationships are just as valuable. Take time to strengthen those bonds and perhaps form your personal compass based on the best attributes of each person. Neera, what two or three or four people come to mind when you think of who has influenced you? Where did they come from, and what practices or ways of thinking have you adopted in their honor?
Well, my mentors are still to this day, whether they know it or like it, are Mrs. Carrico, Dan Hollis, Seamus Blackley, Pastor Lynn Cartwright, and Dr. Hyla Harvey. Each of them has done something incredible in their field and has helped me in ways that I cannot describe. I consider you and Matt to be my mentors, even though you're younger than me. And Matt is my age. Mentors just have to be someone you admire and has your back. Um, yeah, I did. I just think the people that I find as my mentors are just people that I genuinely respect. They've done good in the world, they do the good work, and that's what I care about. And I wouldn't be where I am right now if I hadn't listened to the people around me.
Thank you for including me in such a nice list. I really appreciate that. You know, mentors and role models are absolutely people you admire and want to emulate in some way. And they don't necessarily have to be a decade ahead of you in their careers. This is where peer mentoring happens. That's also a very valuable thing. Um, so tell me some of the things you learned from a few of them that you listed.
Dan Hollis is a professor at Marshall University, and he taught me just to be resilient, just not to stop. And I mean, that is that's the best advice I can get is he told me that I was good enough and to not stop. Whenever he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in the journalism program, he mentioned my name,
Yep.
and that was insane because I mean, my name was up there with the greats, and the fact that he learned from me is incredible. Um, because he taught me how to be a human. And I'm still learning humility. I'm still learning these things. My pastor, Pastor Lynn Cartwright, she's a strong woman. She saw me get married as, a woman that was 6 months pregnant, and she was a pastor who married me in the church, which some people would not do. She
Yep.
watched me get divorced. She watched me live a happy life now. I am very blessed to have known these people and to still know them. Dr. Hyla Harvey, she's a doctor who she was a she's a Gen X, so she was going through med school as a woman doing all that. And I still look up to women who have gone through med school because there are so many different things that you embark and uncover in med school. And so that in itself is a something to be proud of. I'm I'm just lucky to know people.
I love that. Personally, I admire several people, but I think three stand out the most for me. Much like your Mrs. Carrico example, the first coming to my mind was my high school English teacher, Norma Gensler, who encouraged us as freshmen to advocate for ourselves when the school planned to cut an honors history class most of us would have signed up for the following year. She told us to sign a petition to prove that there was interest in keeping the honors class intact. And other than verbal encouragement, she stayed out of it. It was our responsibility to make our case and to problem solve. We took her advice and made enough fuss that the class was reinstated. Mrs. Gensler taught me that you can challenge authority and not to give up until the battle is over. I was a quiet, middle of the pack student in high school, but Norma still saw me. She held me to a high standard, and she told me when I fell short. I always loved books, but I studied English because of her. Years later, she asked what I was doing, and I told her, nonprofit work, consulting for a publisher, some things here and there. And she told me very pointedly, I should be teaching, that there aren't enough strong and bright teachers with a passion for words. After scores of students passed through her doors after I left, Mrs. Gensler still saw me. To this day, I almost feel bad not going into teaching, but so much of my career has been serving teachers like her, trying to make their lives better. So I hope that that's good enough. But I always remember how much she almost wanted me to take her place at Midland because she felt drawn to me and she thought that I could do a good job in that way. And that means so much to me just personally. The second person who comes to mind for me was my hiring manager for my first DC job, Becky Sipus. Probably worth noting that Becky was also an English and journalism teacher before she started at character.org. So I'm sensing a pattern here. But Becky is this tiny, fierce lady with so much energy, and truly, she taught me almost everything I know. Becky started as the conference planner, then director of communications, then COO, and then CEO before retiring. And because I was following her footsteps, I learned how to plan the conference the way that she did it. I learned how to negotiate contracts, how to communicate with speakers, how to secure vendors, and how to plan for the unexpected. She would guide me through my role as a planner, and I would calm her when leadership responsibilities got to be too overwhelming for her. So it was a very symbiotic relationship. And I've certainly developed my own style and process in the years since, but the foundation of everything I still do started with her. And Dawn McGruder rounds out my list as my most recent and current influence. Dawn is a CPA who started her own business when she was a young mom to three kids. And to hear her tell it, she had absolutely no idea what to do other than the actual accounting part. But for almost 30 years now, she has built up her business with an incredible work ethic and a dedication to serving her clients. When I decided to start my business a couple years ago, Dawn reached out to me with encouragement and very clear instructions on how to get started. She brought me along to her networking circles. She introduced me to one of my first clients. And when she convinced me to join NABO, she had the marketing committee draft me to take over the newsletter design. It means so much to me to have someone in your corner like that, especially when you're taking a big leap of faith, like starting a business. And Dawn is someone who has literally been there for me. Basically, if I can live my life to make Norma, Becky, and Dawn proud of me, I'm going to be pretty pleased with myself. They have certainly helped shape me over the years so far.
Well, that's amazing. And we all need that kind of support system.
Mhm.
Um, Something I struggle with is I am naturally anxious and sort of weird. Well, thankfully, you're okay with that because you're weird. Everybody,
Yes.
we all know. Sometimes people misjudge me by my looks, though. Like they think I'm pretty, and then so I'm, I guess, illiterate. They forget that, like, maybe I was a librarian. Maybe I'm a librarian's daughter. I do like to read. Um, I've constantly fought to be taken seriously. And I'm accidentally funny sometimes, like a lot, because I'm kind of doofy. Um, but I am smart and intelligent, and I don't want to be known for beauty. I don't want to be known for these things. I want to be known for being brilliant. Um, Beauty isn't something that I shoot for. It is brilliance. So imagine my chagrin when I go to be in the professional world. And if it weren't for my mentors, I would have given up a long time ago. Uh, you, they keep me grounded when I'm weeping from my own anxiety because I'm trying to fit a mold. And that's what mentors are for, is for when you're feeling down, they help you.
And isn't it crazy that we all feel that way? Like we all have those insecurities. Um, but through empathy, we can help each other overcome that anxiety and reach our goals. That's also why it's important to learn how to ask your network for help when you need it. Like if you're job hunting, people want to help. They just need to know what would be most useful. Get comfortable making those requests. Ask trusted friends and contacts to keep an eye out for postings from a specific company or with a specific job title. Ask someone to review your resume and find ways to improve it. Ask former supervisors and colleagues to be a reference. I won't say most, but many positions get filled because someone knows someone. I'm not advocating for nepotism here, but the value of networking is the ability to get your name in front of people who might have otherwise missed you. Utilize those relationships and let me emphasize this and be willing to help others too. You can't expect everyone to rush to your aid when you won't do the same for them. Every time I see a job listing and someone specific comes to mind, I send a link to them. I don't care if they're currently employed and seemingly happy there. I don't care if I haven't spoken to this person in a year or more. I just tell them, hey, this sounded like you. I thought it was worth passing along. They may not be interested and it may not be a fit, but what I'm doing is I'm showing them that I think they could thrive in that space. And I'd rather waste 2 minutes of their time than deny them the opportunity to grow. What if they would have loved it and I just didn't send it? That could be awful.
Well, that's a beautiful way to look out for your friends, and that's what we should all be doing. One way to grow your network is also to volunteer for groups and causes that you care about. Join a board, do a day of service, anything that helps your community. You'll get to know like minded people and learn more about what they do. You can develop friends, mentors, or professional relationships through these activities. Of course, I understand not everyone will have the flexibility to volunteer, particularly if you're unemployed and actively looking. But if you're struggling with the mental and emotional load of stress, getting out and doing something productive and helpful can help ease that burden as well. There's no better way to help yourself than to help others, and doing good helps my spirit at least.
Once again, make sure to take care of yourself during these sprints. Get creative with the ways you tackle your goals. On that note, I think we've exhausted our list of talking points to cover for today. I hope this conversation has been helpful, enlightening, or at least moderately entertaining. And dear listeners, if you have any comments or questions, please message us. We'd love to help you. Special shout out to Brad Johnson, Norma Gensler, Becky Sipus, and Don McGruder, along with Dan Hollis, Pastor Lynn Cartwright, Dr. Hyla Harvey, Seamus Blackley, and Carol Carrico, on behalf of Neera and myself, for your wisdom and support that has helped get us where we are. Once again, thank you for joining us. I hope you continue with us through this series as we dissect many of the obstacles facing workers today.
Tune into our next episode, Present Yourself, where we'll be talking about interview prep, including how to dress professionally, how to tell your story, and what questions you should ask. Working Women is available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, so find us wherever you find your podcasts and music. Thank you.